I've decided to do pull-ups for 30 days straight, no matter what it takes. This is what my body looks like now, and as for how it will look in a month, you will see that a bit later. It all started at 4 PM. I gathered my thoughts and set off on a small journey. The goal was to find a pull-up bar since, unfortunately, my city doesn't have the luxury of one. After searching online, I found a suitable location just 20 minutes away from home. When I finally arrived and saw the pull-up bar with my own eyes, it was almost an unbelievable feeling. I hadn't seen one in person for so long. I immediately started warming up, a habit that helps prevent injuries. Then I attempted one of the few exercises I still remembered. Honestly, it felt strange. The bar was freezing cold, guess the temperature outside was -1°C, and my hands kept going numb. I had to warm them up from time to time to avoid losing sensation. After that, I decided to test my strength and see how many pull-ups I could do at my max. This was an important moment since I want to compare my results with what I will achieve after 30 days of training. The result? 7 pull-ups. To be honest, I was expecting at least 10, so I felt a bit disappointed, but it only fueled my motivation. Now I have a clear goal to strive for. After a short break, I did 4 more pull-ups and then tried a different variation, managing 3 reps. That's how my first day on the bar ended. I can feel the unusual tension in my muscles, which only highlights how long it's been since I last trained. Now I have a clear plan. In 30 days, I hope to improve my results. In the meantime, leave a comment with your thoughts on my challenge and support me with a like. Don't forget to subscribe, there's a lot of exciting stuff ahead. Wait, so now I have to travel to different cities just to find a pull-up bar? Nope. There's another way. I'll use whatever I can find that resembles a pull-up bar. Luckily, I already know a spot, a small football field where I can use the goal post instead. Since I worked out for the first time in a long while yesterday, my whole body was insanely sore. On top of that, I came here right after work because it might get dark before I get the chance to film. Barely managing, I pushed through and did 5 pull-ups. That was enough for today, so I headed home. As for day 3, I had to skip it. The muscle pain was unbearable, I could barely move. On the 4th day, it was raining and the pull-up bar was wet. I wiped down with my head, warmed up and barely managed to do a few pull-ups since my muscles were still sore. That's when I thought it would be best to continue tomorrow. But as I walked away, I realized I couldn't just give up. With my renewed enthusiasm, I went back to the bar, determined to do as many pull-ups as possible. In the end, I only managed a few more, and then I headed home. For the next day, I returned to the workout spot. After a quick warm-up, I grabbed onto the pull-up bar. Once again, the metal was insanely cold. Honestly, I have no idea why I started this challenge in the middle of winter, but then again, I had no other choice. I'd already been putting it off for too long. I hung from the bar and managed to do 5 pull-ups. Not perfect, but I'm just glad I can still push through, especially after a full day of physical work. Then I took off my jacket hoping to get more reps in, but my strength was already drained and I could only manage 4. Right after that, I almost dropped my phone. Luckily, my reflexes saved the day. Otherwise, I'd be without a camera now. I decided to try using gloves for my back since they had a rubber grip and wouldn't slip, and it actually worked. But at that point, I had nothing left in a tank. So that was the end of today's workout. After work on the 6th day, I decided to have a snack and ate a mandarin. After warming up, I started my pull-ups. Well, I could only do 5 this time, and during the second set, I barely managed another 4. Unfortunately, it's still tough for me, but I'm not giving up. I will put in more effort and prove to you that in 30 days, I'll become a stronger version of myself. The next day, I started with breakfast and then headed to a spot with a proper pull-up bar. On the way, I came across the beautiful horses. When I arrived at the spot, I immediately started warming up. There were a lot of kids around today, so it wasn't very convenient to film. But at least the weather was perfect and really pleasant. I managed to do 6 pull-ups, which wasn't easy, but I tried to do as many as I could. I'm not sure if it's the right approach to go for maximum reps though. During my break, I tried out the leg machine, and to be honest, it felt really weird, so I decided to stick to pull-ups instead. To mix things up and work different muscles, I tried doing pull-ups while keeping my feet on the ground. By the way, if anyone knows the name of this exercise, let me know in the comments. After a few pull-ups, my body just refused to keep going. My muscles were getting really tired and sore. But I didn't stop. I switched to reverse grip pull-ups which target the biceps, though I couldn't do more than 5 reps. Even if they weren't perfect, I gave it my all. I also did some push-ups in different variations and after a while managed a few more pull-ups. By then I had completely exhausted myself, so I took a selfie with the horses. After some time I considered going for another round of training, but when I tried to do pull-ups again, I realized I'd had enough for today. The next cold morning I rode my bike to the workout and after stretching I remembered how I used to train in my school days. The essence of this method is that you should start with one pull-up and in each move do one more repetition and counting down. For example, I set a goal today to reach 3 pull-ups. I did 1 pull-up, rested, did 2, 3 and then 2 and 1 again. I used to get to 10 with my friends this way and it was really hard. Now I can barely get to 3. Nothing further than that. By the way, we used to call this method the ladder. In the end, I did push-ups working my arms so that the process would go faster. On the 9th day, I decided to repeat the ladder method again, but at some point I realized I still had enough strength, so I pushed myself to reach 4 pull-ups. However, after managing 4 reps, calling what I did next pull-ups would be a stretch. My form started breaking down, so for the last few reps, I switched to a different grip since I had no energy left. For today, that's enough. I didn't train at all for the next 3 days because I got sick. To avoid losing progress, I tried doing some push-ups, but my strength faded quickly. After work, I was completely drained, had no energy at all. I decided to grab a banana for a quick boost, otherwise the workout would have been a disaster. Luckily, once I started, I felt a bit better. First, I did 5 pull-ups, then 4, 3, 2 and 1. Despite the exhaustion, I managed to push out 15 pull-ups in this amazing weather. Overall, not a bad result, especially considering how it all started. The next day was a day off, and I finally got some proper sleep, even more than usual. In the afternoon, I headed to the workout spot, but it was already packed with people and kids. They kept getting into the frame, making it hard to film. At some point I even wondered why if this is actually a kids playground and everyone's just looking at me weird. But even if that's the case, I'm a kid at heart, so it's fine. There was one good thing though: when people are watching, you push yourself harder so you don't look weak. So I did pull-ups from 1 to 5, then back down from 5 to 1. In total I hit 30 pull-ups. After that I treated myself to a delicious pastry. For the next 4 days I kept up the same pace. Sometimes I felt extremely weak, actually almost all the time, but somehow I still managed to do 30 pull-ups each day. Yeah, it was tough and there were moments when I had zero motivation, but I kept going, even when my body wanted to quit. That's why on the 20th day I decided to take a rest day, so my next workout would be even better. The next day I had a good breakfast and headed to a new workout spot. Turned out it was now some place for training. There was one guy there, but he left soon after, so I had a whole place to myself and could film in peace. The video quality turned out great and I really enjoyed the calm atmosphere. For my warm-up I decided to try an old move I used to be able to do, but for some reason I hesitated, even though it's not that hard. I felt unsure about it. I started with 1 pull-up, adding 1 more rep each set until I reached 6. At first it felt easy, but I kept pushing myself to do more than usual, and I think I managed that. However, halfway through the workout it got seriously tough. The last pull-ups were a real struggle. I tried doing something else, but I had no strength left. Then, at the end of the day, I got an unpleasant surprise: a parking ticket. I had no idea I had to pay, but even that didn't ruin my mood because I found a great new training spot. It's far from home, but totally worth it. Total pull-ups for the day, 36. The next day I didn't train because I had neither the time nor the energy. The next day after work I did pull-ups in the rain, starting with 1 and working my way up to 6. After getting home I had some sushi and after a while headed back out for another training session. This time I did more pull-ups but with some rest in between, which made them feel more controlled and effective. These were the days that followed. I kept training, trying to maintain a high pace since the end of the experiment was getting close. Each day was a challenge, but I knew that only by overcoming difficulties could I achieve real results. Sometimes it was tough and there were moments when I wanted to quit, especially when my body was pushing back and fatigue built up each day. But I didn't stop. There were times when it felt like the process had stalled, but then I noticed that the exercises were becoming easier and the number of pull-ups was increasing. I learned to listen to my body more, this distribute the load wisely and find motivation even when it seemed almost impossible. And finally, the moment of truth arrived. 30 days were behind me and I was ready to sum up the results of this challenging but rewarding journey. Luckily, the weather was warm on this day, so I could give it my all. After warming up, I hesitated for a long time before starting my pull-ups. There was a fear in my mind that after 30 days nothing had changed, but as soon as I began, I immediately felt the difference. I managed to do 13 pull-ups. Just to remind you, at the start of the challenge, my maximum was only 7. I'm really happy with this result and I'm confident there is still room for improvement. Maybe soon I will buy a pull-up bar and be able to train without any limits. Body changes. Chest circumference before 103 cm after 105 cm. Shoulder before 119 cm after 122. Right bicep before 38.5 cm after 39 cm. Left bicep circumference before 37 cm after 39 cm. Wow, that's cool. As for muscle definition, there don't seem to be drastic changes at first glance since the training lasted only a month. The muscles may have become a bit more defined and increased in size, but my primary focus was on strength, and I've definitely seen progress in that area. What about nutrition? Honestly, I didn't pay much attention to it. Sleep also leaves a lot to be desired. I could have approached this more responsibly, so there's definitely room for improvement. And of course, I'm looking forward to your comments. It's always interesting to hear from keyboard athletes. Share your experiences and let me know what kind of videos you'd like to see next. Don't forget to subscribe, like and support the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye bye.